You want to change your life? You want success, wealth, freedom? Then listen up, because I'm going to tell you something that might sting a little. The reason you're not where you want to be is you. Not the economy, not your boss, not your parents. It's the habits you've let control your life. And if you don't break them now, you'll be stuck in the same place, broke, frustrated, and full of regret, forever. You keep procrastinating. You say, I'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow turns into next week, next month, next year. Stop lying to yourself. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates results. You don't need motivation to act. You need to act to find motivation. Waiting to feel ready is the most expensive decision you'll ever make. Then there's the habit of blaming. Blaming the system. Blaming your past. Blaming others. Let me tell you, as long as you blame, you stay broke. Why? Because blame steals your power. It says, I'm not in control. And if you're not in control, who is? The moment you take 100% responsibility for everything in your life, that's when the game changes. That's when you go from victim to warrior. You hang around people who drain your energy. Gossip, negativity, small-minded talk. You think that doesn't affect you? Energy is contagious. If you're surrounded by people who think small, you'll shrink to fit their comfort zone. If you want to be rich, you better start surrounding yourself with people who challenge you, inspire you, and hold you to a higher standard. Your environment is either your prison or your launch pad. You choose. Here's another one. Playing it safe. You say, I don't want to take risks. Let me ask you something. Is staying broke safe? Is playing small safe? No. It's familiar, but it's not safe. Every successful person took a risk. Not stupid risks, calculated ones. But they moved. They acted in spite of fear. Playing it safe is the slowest form of failure. You've got to dare to bet on yourself even when no one else does. And finally, the habit of thinking short term. You want results now. You want money now. But success is not a lottery ticket. It's a marathon. Most people can't delay gratification, and that's why they stay broke. They'd rather buy sneakers than invest. They'd rather party today than build a future. Winners think long term. They're planting seeds every day. You don't eat the fruit the day you plant the tree, but you plant it anyway. That's what wealth builders do. So I'm telling you right now, break these 5 habits. Crush them. Replace them with discipline, vision, hunger, and massive action. Because if you don't, you already know the alternative. Stay stuck, stay small, stay broke, or rise up, break free, and build a life you don't need a vacation from. Choice is yours. The moment you hesitate, you lose. The second you say, I'll do it tomorrow, you've just stolen from your future. Time doesn't wait, success doesn't wait, and life doesn't care about your excuses. Every day you delay action is a day you're choosing to stay exactly where you are. People talk about wanting more money, more freedom, more happiness, but they spend their time waiting for the right mood, the right moment, the right opportunity to just land in their lap. That mindset is the recipe for regret. Nothing changes until you change. You can read all the books, watch all the videos, listen to every podcast in the world, but until you act, it's just noise. Information doesn't create transformation. Execution does. Action is the bridge between dreams and reality. You want to know why most people stay broke, unfulfilled, and stuck? It's not because they don't know what to do, it's because they know what to do and they don't do it. They wait, they rationalize, they overthink. And that gap between knowing and doing, that's where dreams die. Every time you hit snooze, every time you scroll instead of create, every time you say, I'll start tomorrow, you're reinforcing a mindset of delay, hesitation, and weakness. And guess what? That becomes your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who always puts things off, someone who never follows through. And your brain, your nervous system, your subconscious, they listen. They say, okay, this is who we are now. And from that place, nothing grows, nothing thrives, success loves speed. It rewards those who move, who leap, who decide, not those who analyze everything to death, not those who wait for motivation to strike like lightning. Motivation is fleeting. It's a feeling, and feelings are liars. If you only act when you feel like it, you'll never achieve anything worth having. Champions act regardless of how they feel. They wake up, they show up, they do the work, especially when it's inconvenient. That's the difference between winners and everyone else. Think about every great breakthrough in your life. Every time you felt alive, powerful, proud. It came from a moment of decision. A moment where you said, I'm done waiting. That energy, that fire, you felt it before. It's not gone, it's just buried under layers of hesitation and fear. But the good news is, it only takes one choice to reignite it. One moment of absolute certainty where you draw a line in the sand and say, no more delays, no more excuses. I move now. When you choose action, you shift your entire emotional state. You go from stuck to moving, from unsure to focused. You create momentum, and momentum is the secret weapon of the successful. Once you get moving, the energy builds. Progress becomes addictive. You start stacking wins, even small ones, and those wins create confidence, and confidence creates more action. It becomes a cycle, but it starts with that first push, that uncomfortable leap when everything in you wants to wait, but you move anyway. There is no perfect time. That illusion is the trap. People say, I'll start when I'm ready, but they never define what ready means. Ready is a decision, not a condition. You make yourself ready by acting. You don't wait to become confident. You act and confidence follows. You don't wait for clarity. You move and clarity comes through experience. Every master started as a beginner. Every empire began with one step. But that step was taken, not postponed, so ask yourself, what have you been avoiding? What goal have you delayed? What dream have you let sit on the shelf because you're waiting to feel like it? That thing, that's the door to your next level, and the key is action. Not tomorrow, not next week. Right now, because the cost of procrastination isn't just time. It's the life you could have lived, the person you could have become, the wealth you could have built, the impact you could have made. It's the silent killer of potential. And here's the real kicker. Every time you delay, you strengthen the habit of delay. It becomes easier and easier to justify it. You start to believe your own excuses. You build a case for your own failure. That's how people live entire decades in mediocrity, in struggle, in frustration. Because they got really good at putting things off. But it can stop today. You can break that cycle. You can become someone who acts fast, who moves now, who doesn't wait for permission or the perfect conditions. That identity is built one choice at a time. One decision to get up instead of hitting snooze. One choice to start the project, make the call, hit publish, go to the gym, take the risk. Those small decisions add up, and over time, they create a radically different life. If you want the life most people dream of, you have to do what most people aren't willing to do. You have to kill procrastination at the root. You have to develop the muscle of immediate action, not reckless action, intentional action. Decide fast. Start now. Adjust as you go. Because if you don't, life will pass you by. Someone else will take the opportunity you waited on. Someone else will build the business, write the book, launch the idea that you sat on. Success is not loyal to the hesitant. It goes to the bold. So don't just sit there thinking about your potential. Don't plan endlessly. Don't wait for the perfect mood. Move now. This moment could be the one that changes everything if you decide to act. There's a silent killer in your life. It's not what you think. It's not the struggle. It's not the pain. It's not the hard times. It's the moment you point your finger outward. The moment you say, it's because of them. That's the second you give your power away. That's the second you chain yourself to a life you don't want. Because as long as someone else is responsible, you're not in control. And if you're not in control, you can't change a damn thing. It's easy to blame. It feels good for a moment. It lets you off the hook. It gives you a reason to not rise, to not act, to not change. But that reason is a lie. Blame is comfortable. It says, this is my fault, so I don't have to fix it. And that one thought, that little seed, it grows into a mindset that kills potential. It convinces you that you're powerless, and when people feel powerless, they settle. They shrink. They survive, but they never thrive. It doesn't matter who hurt you. It doesn't matter what they did, what they said, what they took from you. What matters is what you do now. Life isn't fair. It never was. But you know what's more unfair? Living a life you hate because you were too busy focusing on what you couldn't control. There comes a moment where you've got to stop retelling the story of your pain and start writing the story of your power. Because you either stay stuck in the chapter of blame or you flip the page and take the pen back. People think if they stop blaming, they're letting others off the hook. But this isn't about them. It's about you. Forgiveness isn't weakness. Taking ownership isn't surrender. It's strength. It's leadership. It's saying, no matter what's happened, I decide where I go from here. That's power. That's freedom. That's how you build something real. You stop wasting energy on what was and you pour it into what could be. There's a reason the most successful people take full responsibility for everything in their lives. Not because they're perfect, but because they know that owning everything gives them leverage. If you caused it, you can fix it. If it's on you, then you've got options, you've got moves to make. But if it's always someone else's fault, then you're stuck. You're waiting for the world to change so you can change. And that never works. Ever. You've got to stop giving your energy to things you can't control. What other people did, what they said, what they think, none of it pays your bills, none of it builds your dreams. So why are you investing your thoughts, your emotions, your life into it? Take all that energy and bring it back to yourself. Ask yourself, what can I do today to move forward? That's the only question that matters. That's the mindset that changes lives. Every minute you spend blaming is a minute you're not building. Every second you say it's their fault is a second you could be saying, here's what I'm going to do about it. That shift, that inner pivot, it's everything. It's the line between mediocrity and mastery, between feeling stuck and breaking free. Because the truth is, life doesn't respond to complaints. It responds to commitment. It responds to decisions. It responds to action. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Some people stay broke because blaming is easier than building. Some stay unhappy because complaining is more familiar than committing to change. There's a payoff to blame. It protects your ego. It gives you a reason to stay where you are. But that comfort will cost you your future if you let it. You've got to be bold enough to say, even if it wasn't my fault, it's still my responsibility to change it. That's not just ownership, that's empowerment. Look at the people who inspire you, the ones who rose from nothing, who created a life out of ashes. They didn't do it by blaming the world. They did it by taking everything that was thrown at them and using it as fuel. They didn't wait to be rescued. They became their own rescue team. That mindset, it's all on me. That's the key. It doesn't make you a victim. It makes you unstoppable, because no matter what life throws, you've got the wheel. You're driving, you're in control, you were never meant to be small. You weren't designed to live in reaction, always at the mercy of others. You were built to lead your life, to command it, to shape it. But that can only happen when you take back the power you've given away through blame. You stop pointing fingers. You stop telling the same old stories. And you start creating new ones, stories of resilience, stories of strength, stories of ownership and victory. Right now, you've got a choice. Keep waiting for others to change, or change yourself. Keep replaying the past, or create the future. Keep blaming, or build. That's the only way. Because nothing changes until you do. Nothing moves until you move. And your life will only go as far as you're willing to take responsibility for it. The world doesn't owe you anything, but you owe yourself everything. Every dream you've buried, every gift you've ignored, every vision you've delayed, you owe it to yourself to bring it to life. And that starts the moment you stop blaming and start owning. Because the day you take full responsibility, that's the day your life begins. Look around at the people you spend the most time with. Not their clothes, not their jokes, not their social media posts. Look at their mindset. Look at their energy. Look at how they speak about life, money, goals, and responsibility. Because whether you realize it or not, you're becoming more like them every single day. Human beings are tribal by nature. We adapt to fit in. We mirror the people around us. And if the people around you think small, you will shrink to survive in that environment. It happens silently, subtly. You start lowering your standards to match theirs. You start second-guessing your ambition because they don't understand it. You start playing down your hunger because they call it a too much. You weren't born to play small. You weren't born to blend in. But if you're not intentional about who you surround yourself with, that's exactly what happens. And slowly, without even noticing, you start living a life that was never meant for you. People are energy. Every conversation, every interaction, every environment you step into is either charging your battery or draining it. Some people push you forward, others pull you down. Some speak life into your dreams, others laugh at them. Some challenge your thinking, others feed your doubt. Feed your doubt. And here's the truth. Most people never reach their potential simply because they were surrounded by others who never reached theirs and who couldn't handle someone else trying to. You've got to get real with yourself. Are the people around you building you up or holding you back? Are they expanding your vision or suffocating it? Are they cheering you on or secretly hoping you don't outgrow them? Because if you're the most ambitious person in your circle, you're in the wrong circle. Growth demands friction. It requires challenge. You need people around you who won't let you settle, who won't let you make excuses, who will call you out when you're playing small. When you start to shift your mindset, when you start aiming higher, chasing more, demanding better from yourself, not everyone will clap for you. Some will criticize day. Some will distance themselves. Some will try to pull you back into the comfort zone you've outgrown. And that's okay, because elevation requires separation. You can love people and still outgrow them. You can appreciate them and still move on. Not everyone is meant to go where you're going. Your future is too important to be compromised by comfort. And staying in relationships, friendships, or environments that drain your ambition just because it's familiar. That's self-sabotage in disguise. Your destiny doesn't care about your comfort zone. It cares about your commitment. And if you're serious about leveling up your life, your money, your energy, you need to level up your circle first. Success leaves clues, but those clues are often found in the people living the life you want. Get around them. Learn from them. Listen to their language. Study their habits. Feel their energy. You don't have to figure it all out alone. You just need to be in the room where growth is the standard, where action is normal, where dreams aren't just talked about, they're executed. When you're around high-level energy, it forces you to rise. It forces you to rise. It forces you to stretch. It forces you to evolve. And guess what? It's uncomfortable. That's the price of growth. You'll feel out of place at first. You'll feel like you don't belong. That's the sign you're in the right room. You're supposed to feel challenged. You're supposed to feel stretched. That's how you grow. That's how you start moving like the person you were always meant to be. You can't change your life with the same conversations, the same habits, the same energy that got you stuck. Something's got to shift. Sometimes the boldest thing you can do is outgrow your environment, not with hate, not with judgment, but with clarity, with purpose, with love for your future. Because the truth is, you're not just choosing your friends, you're choosing your frequency, your income, your energy, your opportunities, your habits. They all rise or fall with the people you allow into your space. So look around. Who are you listening to? Who are you modeling? Who are you letting influence your mind, your money, your decisions? If they're not living a life you admire, why are you giving them authority over your future? Be ruthless about your environment. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Your environment will either expose your potential or bury it. You were never meant to do life alone, but that doesn't mean just being around anyone. It means aligning with people who are aligned with where you're going. People who speak life into you when you forget your worth. People who don't tolerate your excuses. People who inspire action just by being in the room. That kind of circle, that's not just valuable, it's vital. The moment you start choosing your circle with intention is the moment everything changes. You'll feel it. You'll move different. Think different. Show up different, and your results will reflect it. Because at the end of the day, your income, your growth, your peace, they are all byproducts of your inner circle. So choose wisely, because who you roll with is who you become. Here's a lie we all tell ourselves. Playing it safe is smart. It's a trap that sounds logical, sounds easy, sounds comfortable. But let me tell you right now, it's the most dangerous thing you can do. Safety kills dreams. It suffocates growth. It paralyzes potential. And while you think you're protecting yourself from failure, all you're really doing is guaranteeing that you'll never achieve the life you were meant to live. Everyone wants certainty. The idea that if you stay within the lines, if you follow the rules, if you don't take risks, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. But guess what? Fine is not enough. Fine doesn't get you freedom. Fine doesn't make you extraordinary. Fine doesn't allow you to live a life that lights you up every morning. Fine means you're settling. It means you're stuck in the mediocre, predictable cycle of average. And you can't create something exceptional from a place of safety. You've been taught to minimize risk, to avoid failure, to play it safe. But let me ask you this. Is staying in the same job for decades, doing the same things every day, living with the same fears, really safer than going after what you want? Is it safer to stay stuck? Is it safer to be unhappy, unfulfilled, and terrified of change? Of course not. The truth is, you're more at risk when you don't take risks than when you do. Think about it. Every single person who's ever achieved anything extraordinary took risks. Every single person who created something that changed the world took chances. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They didn't wait for all the lights to turn green. They acted in spite of the uncertainty, in spite of the fear, in spite of the fact that they didn't know exactly how things would unfold. That's the difference between those who break through and those who stay behind. The willingness to take action when it's not comfortable, when it doesn't make sense, when everyone around you says, "That's risky," and you say, "That's exactly why I'm doing it." You don't grow by playing it safe. You grow by doing what scares you, by doing the things that stretch you, by doing the things that push you beyond what you thought was possible. Safety is the enemy of greatness. You've got to step out into the unknown, even if it feels terrifying. That's the point. The discomfort you feel on the other side of fear is the place where you'll find your next level. But it's only found when you're willing to risk it all. The people who do incredible things in life, who build legacies, create true wealth, they didn't wait for the stars to align. They made things happen, regardless of how much uncertainty they felt. You think the people who are successful had some kind of secret formula? No, they just got tired of playing small. They got tired of saying a no to themselves. They got tired of waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time never comes. It's a myth. The truth is, the moment you decide to take action, even if it's messy, even if it's imperfect, you're already ahead of 99% of the people who are stuck in the waiting game. But here's the thing. Every time you hesitate, every time you tell yourself, "And not yet," every time you play it safe, you're making the decision to stay exactly where you are. You're choosing comfort over growth. And comfort is a prison that keeps you in a life that doesn't excite you. And it's a prison that's easy to ignore because it looks like a safe, familiar cage. But deep down, you know that cage is shrinking your potential every single day. You want to know the most dangerous part of playing it safe. You wake up one day and realize that you've lived a life that's not truly yours. You've lived a life that was shaped by other people's opinions, by fear, by comfort. And one day you'll look in the mirror and ask yourself, what could I have done? What could I have built? Oh, what could I have experienced if I had just taken the leap? If I had trusted myself and the process, and that regret will weigh more on you than any failure ever would have. Because failure is a lesson. It's a stepping stone to success. But regret is a permanent stain on your soul. Think of it like this. Every opportunity you don't take is an opportunity someone else is going to take. Every idea you hesitate on, someone else is going to act on. Every moment you don't step up to the plate is a moment someone else takes to hit a home run. The world moves fast. If you're waiting for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, the perfect plan, you're going to miss it. While you're sitting on the sidelines, the people who are willing to take risks are stepping into the game and taking over the field. And guess what? They're winning. Why? Because they weren't afraid to bet on themselves. They weren't afraid to take action. They weren't afraid to move even when the outcome wasn't guaranteed. Let me be crystal clear. The safest thing you can do in this world is to take risks. The risk of staying the same. The risk of never trying. The risk of living your life in fear. Those are the things that will destroy you. The reward, the freedom, the success, the fulfillment. It's on the other side of those risks. It's on the other side of the unknown. And if you want to live a life that is extraordinary, you have to be willing to step into that unknown with courage, with confidence, with the full belief that the risk is worth it. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the right moment. Don't wait for someone to tell you it's safe, because it never will be. It's only risky when you don't take action. It's only dangerous when you sit still and hope things change. But if you're willing to take a leap, if you're willing to step out of your comfort zone and into the chaos of possibility, you will find freedom. You will find opportunity. You will find success. And when you look back, you won't be talking about how safe you played it. You'll be talking about how you broke through every barrier, how you took risks, how you turned uncertainty into your greatest strength. And that's a life worth living. And you want to know the truth about failure? It's not the worst thing that can happen to you. In fact, failure is one of your greatest allies on the journey to success. The real failure isn't when you fall down. The real failure isn't when you try something and it doesn't work. The real failure is when you let fear keep you from trying in the first place. It's when you let the thought of failure stop you dead in your tracks before you even take that first step. Think about it. We've all been taught to avoid failure, to fear it, to think of it as something shameful, something to be avoided at all costs. But that's the biggest lie you've ever been told. Fear of failure keeps you locked in place. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of procrastination and doubt. It keeps you small. And if you don't confront that fear, if you don't push past it, then you will never know what it's like to truly live, to truly create, to truly achieve, to truly break through. The truth is, there is no such thing as failure, only feedback. Every time something doesn't go the way you planned, every time you make a mistake, every time you fall short, it's not a reflection of your worth, it's an opportunity to learn. A lesson that shows you what works and what doesn't. It shows you where you need to grow, where you need to shift, where you need to refine your approach. Failure isn't a brick wall you hit. It's a stepping stone. And when you embrace failure for what it is, when you use it as fuel for growth, you become unstoppable. But here's the catch. If you're too afraid to fail, if you're too afraid to try, then you'll never experience that growth. The fear of failure keeps you frozen. It keeps you playing small. It keeps you in your comfort zone where everything is familiar, everything is safe, but everything is also limited. It's where your potential goes to die. If you never push beyond that fear, you're never going to know what you're truly capable of. Here's what you need to understand. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of it. Think about any successful person you admire. Think about the leaders, the innovators, the creators who've changed the world. Do you think they achieved what they did by sitting on the sidelines worrying about the what ifs? No. They failed. They stumbled. They made mistakes. But they kept going. They kept showing up. They kept learning. They kept growing. They didn't let failure define them. They let failure refine them. They didn't let fear stop them. And that's why they're where they are. Every time you let the fear of failure dictate your actions, you're choosing to play small. You're choosing comfort over growth. You're choosing the easy path instead of the one that challenges you to become more. And every time you do that, you're telling yourself that you're not worthy of your dreams. You're telling yourself that you're not capable of succeeding. But I'm here to tell you that's a lie. The only thing standing between you and your success is your willingness to try, to fail, and to keep going. There's a quote I want you to remember. The person who never made a mistake, never tried anything new. You're going to make mistakes. It's inevitable. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to face obstacles. You're going to face obstacle. But the people who succeed aren't the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who face it head on. They're the ones who take risks, who move in spite of fear, who embrace every failure as a chance to learn and grow. You can sit in your comfort zone, safe from failure, but you can't stay there and expect to grow. You can't sit in the stands of life and watch everyone else take action. The field belongs to the ones who take chances, the ones who are willing to fail, the ones who are willing to get up when they fall, to learn from their mistakes and to keep pushing forward. Those are the people who succeed. Those are the people who achieve greatness. Fear of failure isn't just a thought. It's a feeling. It's that gut reaction that holds you back when you're about to take a leap. It's that voice in your head telling you, what if you fail? What if you look stupid? What if it doesn't work out? And guess what? That voice is lying to you. That voice is trying to protect you from something that doesn't exist. Because failure is not the end, it's just a part of the process. It's just a chapter, not the entire story. Imagine for a moment, what if you remove the fear of failure from your mind? What if you stopped seeing failure as something to avoid and started seeing it as a natural part of your growth? What if you took the risks, went after the big goals, pursued the dreams that scare you? The only thing standing in the way of that version of yourself is your fear. Your fear. So ask yourself, are you going to let fear control you, or are you going to take control of fear? Here's the truth. There's no such thing as an overnight success. Every person who achieved greatness failed before they succeeded, but they kept going. They kept learning. They kept improving. They kept improving. And you have that same ability within you. The only thing you need to do is decide. Decide to stop being afraid of failure. Decide to use failure as fuel. Decide to keep going no matter what. So what's the real failure? It's not when things don't go as planned. It's when you stop trying. It's when you let fear paralyze you. It's when you let the thought of failing prevent you from ever starting. That's the real failure. Not falling down, but staying down. Not stumbling, but quitting. And as long as you're still standing, you have the power to rise again. You have the power to turn every failure into your greatest lesson, your biggest breakthrough. The only way to guarantee you'll fail in life is to be too afraid to fail. The only way to lock yourself into a life of mediocrity is to let fear dictate your decisions. But you can't afford to let that happen. Your dreams are too important. Your vision is too powerful. The world needs you to step up, so stop being afraid of failure. Embrace it. Learn from it, and let it propel you forward, because the truth is, failure doesn't define you, it refines you. And it will be the fuel that drives you to your ultimate success.